It began with peaceful protests against a president, but soon exploded into a vicious civil war. The conflict in Syria is now 4 years old. And among the latest victims, a group of people in rebel-held areas of Douma. Activists say as many as 20 people, including children, died in airstrikes on residential buildings in the town just outside Damascus. Dozens more have been reported killed and injured in the last 3 days. That's as the Air Force steps up attacks on the area. Well, the UN estimates that at least 220,000 people have been killed in Syria's war, and very large numbers of people have had to flee their homes, many leaving the country altogether. And we can show you now how the number of refugees has increased as that war has gone on. So almost 4 million Syrian refugees have fled the war. 1.5 million of them are in Lebanon itself. And Al Jazeera's Zaina Khudr is there. She's joining us from the Bekaa Valley. Really staggering numbers, Zaina, of refugees from Syria. How is Lebanon coping with the influx?
Well, Lebanon is not coping. In fact, the government earlier this year, in fact, on the 1st of January, imposed tighter entry restrictions. There has been a significant drop in the number of Syrian refugees entering the country since then. Like you mentioned, 1.5 million, and this is a very small country, approximately 4 million people. And it's not just that, it's not just the strain on the infrastructure. At the end of the day, there is growing resentment and animosity towards these Syrian refugees. Lebanese blame them for taking their jobs. Lebanese say they work for much less. So there is animosity. You talk to anybody in these makeshift camps close to the border with Syria and they say, we're too scared to venture out because we could be arrested. Their paperwork is not in order. So Lebanon is not coping. These people do not feel welcome or safe even here.
And what are they telling you, Zaina, about the possibility of returning to Syria?
Well, at the end of the day, every single person here will tell you we want to return home, but they've lost hope. First of all, there is no meaningful political process underway. They know that it will take time for a political settlement to this conflict, especially since Syria's war has now become a proxy war. Regional and international players are involved. But on the occasion or on the anniversary of the start of the uprising, activists really want to tell the world or remind them that at the end of the day, ISIL is not the only force in Syria, because the international community really has been prioritizing the fight against ISIL. They're not really remembering the fact that on a daily basis people continue to die. I met a prominent Syrian activist, Hadi Abdullah, who actually produced the film, saying that he hopes the world will remember that there was a struggle for freedom and there continues to be a struggle for freedom in Syria. It's called Ruh el-Thawra, the spirit of the revolution. This film is about the struggle for freedom in Syria. The man behind it is Hadi al-Abdullah, a Syrian activist who's worried that the US-led fight against the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant has overshadowed the uprising against the Syrian government. It's one of the reasons he wants to raise awareness.
The international community should remember there are Syrians who oppose the regime and ISIL. We are also trying to remind those inside Syria to focus on the goals of the revolution. They shouldn't join extremists, and at the same time, they should reject any reconciliation with the regime.
He's from the city of Homs, home to some of the largest anti-government demonstrations since the uprising began. Protesters were killed, and the uprising became a civil war. His city, like so many other areas, became an urban battleground. Years later, Homs is back under the government's control. The Syrian government may have the upper hand militarily, but it hasn't defeated the opposition. But its opponents are increasingly worried that the global war against ISIL has shifted the focus from the fight to oust the Assad government. It's been almost 4 years since many Syrians decided to challenge a state they long feared. They demanded freedom, dignity, a state of law, and an end to arbitrary detentions. They complained of a corrupt political system that didn't provide equal opportunities for all. El Abdallah believes the opposition has won simply because it broke the fear barrier. Now it's facing a new enemy.
It is no longer a people's revolt against a criminal regime. Now the people are fighting an alliance that includes Iran and its militias. This doesn't mean our revolution is over.
This film is about the determination of many Syrians to continue their fight, both against the regime and ISIL. And the message they want to send counters the government's narrative that it's a war against terrorists. The rise of ISIL really has been a game changer, overshadowing the civil war in Syria. And this is what really many in the opposition fear. They want the international community to deal with the crisis the way it is dealing with ISIL.
Zaina, thank you very much. Zaina Khudr reporting from the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon.